hey, what's it? What's his name?
Gordo.
Gordo? Yeah, Gordo, like Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
Awesome. Is that why you were named Gordo?
No, it's named after a Canadian singer. And I
like Gordon Lightfoot?
Gord Downey. Gord Downey.
Oh, yeah,
Tragic
sure,
Witness.
yeah. Okay. Well, I'm Canadian, so are you Canadian?
No, I'm Texan.
All right.
Born and raised.
Okay.
Bro, look at his fucking fat chain. Of course he's Texan, dude. What do you mean? That no Canadian would ever wear something like that.
Appropriating Canadian culture. So, Gordo and Mary, thanks for taking the time. You know, they're just had a great conversation with those folks. So friendly. Yeah. Have you been following kind of the Roe v. Wade overturning?
Yeah, very closely.
Yeah. Okay. What's your opinion on that?
I think it's pretty fucked up what's going on.
Okay.
I think everybody should have the right to choose, well, particularly women. I think when it's something that's affecting your body, you should have the right to choose how you're, you should have the right to choose how you go about your own health. And I think taking that away from people, and not even just taking away, but criminalizing it is a very backward step for a country that prides itself on freedom.
Mm-hmm. Criminalizing abortion.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you think, Mary? What's your opinion?
I think it's terrible. It's awful.
Same reasoning?
Yeah.
So let me ask you.
Damn, bro. Hasanabi heads really have girlfriends out here? That's crazy. They also look like they're drainers.
This is it your impression that Roe v. Wade is overturning? Well, let me ask you this first. What do you think about the leak? And the fact that this was leaked from the Supreme Court?
I think it's pretty crazy to have like a leak of that magnitude. But I think it's also very important that that we have this knowledge so you can at least like talk about it before this all happens. We have a very hard right-leaning Supreme Court right now, which we've had, of course.
Why is his voice so shaky? Is he nervous to have someone that disagrees with him? Bro, I love when anonymous chatters in the chat think that like being able to have a face-to-face conversation with an interlocutor on camera when you're not like a trained professional to be on camera is exactly the same as like anonymously writing the stupidest things in the chat. Like 99.9% of the things that you get away with saying on the internet under the guise of anonymity, you would never be able to say in real life. Unless you were talking about Crowder. I don't know if he is actually nervous. He's probably horny. That's his horny voice because he's like, finally, I got a lefty out here.
This is America. We've had whether Democrat or Republican, in the very large gist of the political scale, we were right-leaning throughout our history. But right now it's to an extent that we really haven't seen in a very, very long time, really, since the Civil War.
I think he's doing a pretty decent job so far.
So I think it's when you start taking away rights that have been affirmed over and over and over, on this magnitude, I think it's important to.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. But you sound like you're pretty right wing because you talked about freedoms and personal liberties. That's.
No, I think freedom and personal liberties, right wing or left.
Dude, that's so funny. Yeah, bro, right wing. Famously, yeah. Freedom and personal liberty is a famously right wing concept. I love that he says that as he's quite literally arguing about, quite literally positioning himself to defend like a state's right to, the federal government's right to deny women a medical procedure. Like, incredible.
Left wing, there's always bipartisan issues, and no matter who you are, you're a fucking communist.
Also, I just clicked on this dude's Instagram and he does not follow me. Not a real hasanabi head, okay?
You're communist because you think freedom is of this way, and I'm not a communist, but and you're hard right wing, it's because you want freedoms in this way. Everybody has their own ideas of how to get there.
No, communism is not about freedom.
Yo, that's me. I'm wearing a Channel 5 bag.
It's pretty clearly expressed that it's anti-freedom. Like, there's no one who argues that communism is freedom.
There's communists that argue that.
I don't follow you anywhere but Twitch. Shut up, Mango JPEG. Should be following me everywhere. If you don't follow me anywhere but Twitch, dude, what the fuck are you doing? I'm posting fucking incredible content, okay? Literally incredible content on all the... Perhaps the most cringe content I post is on Twitch. Like, my most cringe content is on Twitch. Everywhere else is great. It's so much better.
Well, not Marx or Lenin.
Marx does argue about the freedom that comes with communism. It's about the leadership of the proletariat, which is the individual, which, if you're into individualism, I'd assume.
Can I ask you?
Okay, I've literally described this before in exactly these words. I don't think he's a follower, but like this is, yes, he's right. He's 100% correct. The most common misconception about Marxism is that it revolves around like collectivism and there's no there's no individual liberties under Marxism. It's completely bullshit. The entire purpose of Marxism is to specifically create further individual liberties for the average worker. Okay? That's the whole point. And the only way to achieve that in our current mode of production, in our current, the only way to achieve that is by allowing workers to have a different relations with a different relation with the means of production. That's where like society is built around. Okay, the way we create commodities, the way we create value, and everything revolving around that has basically reinforced the capitalist dogma that we live through on a daily basis. That's why concepts such as meritocracy are so difficult to shake. People want to fundamentally believe that, like it's a truth about human nature. Concepts such as greed are so difficult to shake because that's being reinforced from every facet of our development. But ultimately, the main purpose is so that people can have a life of meaning. People can have more individual liberties. And the only way to achieve that is through collective action.
Is it freedom?
Right-wingers are fundamentally against individual liberties and individual freedoms. Unless you are personally an incredibly wealthy person and you can like above the mechanisms of control.
If you're taking my rights away.
So, well, this is
right
interesting.
To my own body.
Sorry. This is interesting. I think there's kind of two different questions. Is the idea, and if we want to talk about sort of abortion, we can. I sort of want to discuss the impression of the law. So you mentioned like federally, criminalizing abortion. Are you under the impression that that's what the overturning of Roe v. Wade is?
No, the overturning of Roe v. Wade is giving states the right to criminalize abortion.
Yeah.
Which, okay.
States to set their own rules.
But if you go deeper into it,
more specifically, like in the second and first trimester.
If
you get into this, there is a big discussion.
Okay, now I do now feel like Steven Crowder is a little bit more intimidated. I don't think he's used to just like having any sort of pushback whatsoever. So like the first moment that he has like a person who is not like a borderline Democrat, he doesn't have like the talking tree established for this kind of attitude. Like whenever someone comes in with like even a crumb of theory or a little bit of fucking a little bit of materialist thought, like he's like, okay, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do here at all. This is off script. I don't have talking points for this.
Discrepancy, particularly in the U.S., between income levels, and if you, particularly in a state like Texas, which is fucking huge, as you know.
Yeah.
If you don't make enough, like it costs to get to another state to have an abortion, just to travel out, it's going to be like gas prices are incredibly high. All this.
Yeah.
Just
what are they
to get
today?
to another,
are they over
like
4?
four something? Yeah.
It's not that bad.
That's pretty. He just said it was bad. Seems like you're couching it a little bit.
Anyways.
Look at him trying to. He literally is trying to desperately, at the very least, like deflect away from the main conversation now. One method of doing that is by pitting the two people that are here together against one another, because he's just like trying. He's trying to fucking move on to something. But gas prices is a great fucking take, because ultimately it's like, from a leftist position, like if you're arguing about the material realities that the proletariat is subjected to, then it's very difficult for him. If you're a worker, if you have a worker first position in your argument, it's very difficult for these pieces of shit to continue LARPing as they care about workers. And he goes Steven Crowder will relapse back into the point where he was at when he got his ass beat by a fucking union organizer. You remember that? Like way back in the day? Because that's what Republicans used to do before this like supposed fake populist attitude that they started developing in an effort to reach out to a broader audience of right-wingers or try to red pill them. Like these guys used to fucking despise unions. I mean, he still probably openly despised unions. So, we'll play the clip of him getting clocked in a second. But like, you know, the moment that you actually are genuinely talking about workers' rights or talking about individual liberties from the point of view of the working class Americans, then all of a sudden he has to go back to his reactionary perspective. He's going to do anything he can. He's going to try to deflect. He's going to try to talk about like gas prices because of Biden. He's going to try to talk about the Democratic Party. Don't let that happen. Stay on message.
But
yeah, they're like California.
If you don't have the money, which there are quite a lot of low-income people, not just in Texas, but in the U.S. in general, to get out, to access your right to an abortion, which isn't even your right unless you're in another state, you can only do that if you have money. So unless there's, I'm against criminalizing abortion completely, but if you want to go like that and you still care about personal freedoms and rights, there should be like very hardcore programs to allow the people that do want it to go to another state. And how it's set up right now, it's leading the way to make it not just illegal to have an abortion within Texas or whatever state that criminalizes it, but to make it criminal to go to another state to get an abortion. And I think that's like pretty totalitarian and authoritarian.
So where would it make it? Your impression is that it would make it criminal to go to another state to get an abortion?
No, but that's what it's leading up to because these are precedents we're talking about. This is how the Supreme Court.
Steven Crowder acting like he's never heard of this concept is hilarious. Because, like, dog, come on. Like, this is what happens when you fucking debate right-wingers, by the way. Like, what? Doi? You mean they're gonna criminalize traveling to another state? That's crazy. It's like, bro, are you fucking stupid? Of course they're gonna do that. The entire purpose of the fucking right-wing, anti-abortion movement is to literally criminalize at the federal level, okay? That's like what their goal is. Shut the fuck up. And all these pieces of shit used to lie for years and years and years, okay? About all these people used to lie for many, many years about how they never wanted to overturn Roe v. Wade. You know what I mean? But they did. And now that they got that, now they're going to turn around and be like, oh, well, we just don't want to criminalize at the federal level. Come on, that'd be crazy. No, of course they're going to do that. If you give them a little bit of fucking, if you take your foot off the gas pedal for even a brief moment, the right wing will take advantage of that. And they have been, and they are going to continue to. And also, if I'm not mistaken, Texas currently, it doesn't criminalize traveling, but it uses the bounty system against people who might leave the state and get an abortion anyway. Let's see. Texas bounty system prohibits travel abortions. Texas bounty hunter abortion bans a dire warning of what laws ahead for reproductive rights. You can get sued if you assist someone to get an abortion in another state. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's precisely why Connecticut, for example, made a counter. Connecticut came out with a counter legislation to basically make it so that if someone sues you because you went and got an abortion in the state of Connecticut, then the state of Connecticut will help you defend yourself. Like, it's so fucking stupid. Which, by the way, the actual terrifying prospect here is exactly the secession or the political events that unfolded in the lead up to the Civil War, which was the overreach by states that actually wanted to continue preserving slavery, right? Like, once you start, once you have like Fugitive Slave Act, exactly. Once you have fugitive abortion laws, and you try to prevent people from being able to get abortions in other states, all of a sudden, the entire country is falling apart.
I haven't heard that suggested that any kind of.
Well, I just told you, this is how precedents work in legal scenarios. You're setting a very large precedent like this, which gives people the right to go further and further and further. The whole Roe v. Wade precedent is based on that.
Him is coming an entire pool right now after you said that? Yeah, I know.
That it's not allowed, this abortion wasn't mentioned in the Constitution, but also the right to marry interracially isn't in the Constitution. The right to like...
Stephen Crowder's like, yeah, great example, actually. We should fucking destroy that next. He's like, yeah, that's true. Sir, you're bringing up some good points. Seems like that's the next thing that we should actually abolish.
A lot of things that we take as very granted and that are important aren't mentioned in the Constitution. So I think this is like a very dangerous thing that's happening right now.
Yeah, I think there's, and your question was, no, I understand where you're coming from. I would disagree.
Damn, bro, he can't even fucking. All right, come on, dog. You love popping off. You love popping off when you're talking to Democrats. The moment that you're talking to someone who's like, I'm a Marxist, actually, like, what happened? Why does he get so flustered when he's talking to a leftist? It's just so weird.
Agree with. First up, do you mean precedent or precedents? You used both.
Precedent.
Okay, precedent. Yeah. And you were
What?
you asked me a
Please.
question earlier.
I asked you a question.
Yeah, you asked me a question. I wanted to get to the Supreme Court kind of Roe v. Wade law. So I actually appreciate that you understand that it goes to the states, and the states have that, right, because you actually.
Oh, dude, he moved on. He literally was like, oh, well, I respectfully disagree. Pivot to her. That's bullshit. Wait, is this I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. That you can't do that. You can't do that. I mean, you can do that, and he is doing that. But like, how the fuck do people not realize that's precisely what he's doing? Oh, well, I respectfully disagree. All right. Well, isn't this like change my mind? Like you're fucking floundering like a fish out of water so hard that you're, instead of having your mind change, this is what you do when you just like fucking not only move the goalpost, but like move into a different argument that you yourself completely constructed. Homie just strawmanned an entire question into existence out of nowhere.
I actually appreciate that you understand that it goes to the states, and the states have that,
That dude, this was your plan. Your only fucking talking point on the fucking talking point tree as the NPC you are was specifically, oh, it's states' rights. You don't know the first thing about overturning Roe v. Wade. I'm Steven Crowder. Like, what the fuck? He just straight up was like, okay, well, you do. So I appreciate that.
right? Because you actually understand what Roe v. Wade being overturned is. A lot of people think that there's a federal criminalizing of abortion, which isn't really the case.
No, it's up to the
A lot of people think this. Okay, well, they don't. So talk to them. Why don't you, I don't know, why don't you talk to the people in front of you and not a lot of people?
To the states, yeah. I haven't seen any literature that suggests that.
She's the real hasanabi head, by the way. He's in the chat as well, but she is the, I'm gonna clock him right now. Okay, this is the real hasanabi head. She's in the chat. This is the boyfriend of the hasanabi head who, is tangentially aware.
The states already have a.
And it's also, I think it's also very difficult when it leads it to the states because the gerrymandering is so intense in places like.
I know what her username is. I'm not going to say it because you guys are fucking annoying, okay? Don't out her, chatters, because there's a lot of fucking creeps.
Texas and stuff, which really skews the political outlook when.
Looky dude, she's never even heard of you. How do you know who this is? Where is she? She's never even heard of you. Stop being parasocial. Yeah, sure, buddy. Okay. This is precisely the reason why I'm saying do not mention who it is. Okay? If you know who she is, do not mention who she is. I was joking. Okay. Stop. He's in the chat right now too, watching. So don't be fucking weird.
The large majority of people in cities like this, like Dallas, do vote blue, and I'm not a Democrat. In fact, I'm very heavily against the Democratic Party, just about as equally as much as I'm against the Republican Party. The US politics are fucked across the board.
So how would you identify?
I am progressive, left-leaning. I believe in human rights, which, I think we all deserve a right to... We're the richest country in the world, and it's 2022. We're very progressive. We have the right to health care. We have the right to bodily autonomy and to be an individual person, to chase your self-actualization, be the person you want to be, as long as you're not harming anybody else. I know this is where it comes down to, because in abortion, in this rhetoric, it always comes down to whether you believe a fetus is a person or not. And I believe, because I don't remember, and nobody remembers what they were as a fetus because you're not sentient, I don't believe you're a person until you're born, until you're a sentient being.
Dude, this is like, if I was a debate pervert, I would literally fucking turn around. I'd be gushing right now. I'd be so excited. If I was a right-wing reactionary debate pervert right now, this is a trap, okay? This is when you find yourself, if you've ever had a conversation with a vegan, also don't do that. If you have ever had a conversation with a vegan, don't. But if you ever had a conversation with a militant vegan, the trap is set the moment that you talk about sentience and what basically constitute what is the bar that you set for humanity, or rather to not murder mercilessly, right? The moment that you establish sentience, a militant vegan will start doing name the trait. Okay? Name the trait. Oh, so would you kill a human being that can't establish memories like easily and eat them? That's the vegan argument, right? Would you kill a little boy, a little child, right? Now, this is why whenever you have a conversation about abortion, getting into the philosophical trappings of what constitutes humanity is a failing path, in my opinion, because Steven Crowder does not have the intellectual fortitude to be able to legitimately have a conversation with you about sentience and about humanity, especially because philosophers themselves have not been able to come to a conclusion on this. Obviously, philosophers don't, they don't agree on anything, but this is a philosophical argument that is always up for interpretation and debate. And every moment that you have, every moment that you are having a conversation about sentience, what it means, is a fetus a life? Is it the potential for life and humanity that makes it okay to murder something or whatever the fuck? Like, the moment that you have that conversation, you are no longer having a conversation about the carrier, the woman, and her bodily autonomy, okay? You understand? A well-established, precedented being intact. And we are actually personally talking about, the moment that you start talking about the humanity of the fucking fetus, you've already moved beyond the main point, the main reason why the government should not personally interfere in these sorts of affairs. Okay? Why is that? The bodily autonomy of the woman, the carrier. Okay? That is the reason why the government should not interfere with these sorts of matters. This should be a conversation between the medical professional, and the pregnant party. I'm the guy being interviewed. Can you plug my Insta for my Dasha moment? Thanks, my Turkish brother. I know, I saw. Hey, guys, I'm the guy with the long hair, by the way. Thanks for watching. My Insta is Flaco Gordo. I'm not her boyfriend. She's my childhood friend. She's not my girlfriend. And thanks. It's me with the long hair. My Insta is Flaco Gordo. I saw. I feel like this dude, with his, given his hatred for the Democratic Party, might think that I'm like one of those people that's like fake. Also mentioned Dasha. Outed yourself as a Red Scare listener? Yikes. Anyway, all jokes aside, yeah, that's his Instagram. Okay, let's keep going.
I don't remember anything before my second birthday.
I me neither, which is what well, I'm also not advocating for aborting someone at a year old, but
No, I know, but I'm saying the line of sentience, right?
Yeah.
See? That's you have been ousted, sir. You will now you have walked into my philosophical trap.
To your own body.
But you're not even you're not in the world
why are you
at all.
forcing women to carry out?
Yeah, I shitted on you a lot, but only for your outfits. There you go, bro. Exactly. Okay, the average Red Scare fucking Dasha the Anna simp in the chat. I bet you fucking browse their Reddit all the time too, you fucking pervert. All right, it's fine. You're doing a good job so far.
A pregnancy that they can't afford, that that would lead up to a lot of high rates of infant mortality. People can't take care of a child. People can't go to the doctor. It's a problem. The healthcare system is awful. You can't.
Yes, pregnancy in this country, unfortunately, can also mean a death sentence. 26 out of 100,000 is fucking bananas. 26 women die because of a lack of adequate prenatal care. It is significantly higher, if not twice the amount of every other comparable OECD nation. It is fucking insane. And it's getting worse, for the record. It is getting actually worse. Yeah, especially for black women, it gets even higher. Now, for the record, that is not, again, he's going to say, well, that's the reason. Well, OECD nations are 5 to 10. America is 26, and it is growing currently. Pregnancy complications, the 10th leading cause of death among young women, 25 to 34. And ultimately, it still doesn't matter, though. It still doesn't matter because we should be having a conversation around the bodily autonomy of the carrier, because that is the only argument. He said it. He said comparable OECD nations. Shut up, Mango JPEG. You know that's an adequate thing to fucking compare. That's an adequate thing to compare the United States to, considering that, like, we are the fucking imperial core. We are living in the imperial core, and we can't even reap the rewards of all that fucking bloodshed, okay? Are you kidding me? Are you fucking joking? Like, yeah, no shade is just a catchphrase. Yes, I say that a lot, yes.
To have a child in this country, it's expensive.
Right.
I'm 21. I could never afford to have a child. I can afford my health insurance. That is expensive, but once a year, twice a year to go to the doctor, but that's about it. I can't afford to go to a hospital and have a child.
We can't even afford to go to the hospital in general.
I can't afford housing in this state, in this country. I can't.
Yeah, I can't even afford to go to the doctor in general. If I get actually sick, like, I'm people that make $100,000 a year, you get cancer, you're bankrupt.
Where do you work?
Right now, I just got back from Europe doing a study abroad, so this is my first day back, so I don't have a job right now. I study human rights, actually.
Okay, cool.
I study human rights and international studies.
And where were you studying?
That's the problem. You should have studied human wrongs, motherfucker. I studied human rights and human wrongs.
Barcelona.
Like a university?
Yeah, IAU is the university. It's my final semester, so it's just...
Dude, look at him. Dude, he's just like, he's completely conceited. He just now turned around and he's just like, oh, what did you study? Like, shut the fuck up, Steven. Go back to the main conversation.
I've already finished my degree. I was just doing, like, my electives, basically, and traveling.
He's just doing small talk.
Human rights at SMU, actually.
Okay. Yeah. So, and you said you can't afford a house.
Oh,
no, who can afford a house like, I'm 23. Who can afford a house at 23? Unless you're at Mark.
Or you said you can't afford a place to live. So where do you?
Well, I could afford a place to live if I was willing. Compared to 5 years ago, it was very easy for me. For 5 years ago, I could go bartend, which is what I normally do, and I can afford a decent place for like $800.
Oh, my man is caked up. He's a bartender, bro.
$700 a month. In Dallas, it's very hard to find. Like, to get a place that's not cockroach infested and like falling down, I'd have to have like 2 or 3 roommates, which is normal. But I mean, I've been here my entire life, and it's just getting. I've seen the change firsthand. We bought our house for $80,000. That neighborhood's about $400,000 now because of these multi-corporations coming in and
like
buying
Vanguard
up
and
all neighborhoods.
BlackRock. Yeah. We'd probably agree. Elizabeth Warren said they should be too big to fail, but I don't think any company is too big to fail. They should fail.
Look, he's just trying to drive he's trying to use his resentment, his understandable and justifiable resentment against the Democratic Party, to just like cut out anything that is not oppositional anymore, because like he recognizes that this dude knows what the fuck he's talking about. So because of that reason, he's like, all right, well, let's look for common ground here, because you're gonna fucking clap my ass cheeks in the abortion conversation. What? This is a Roe v. Wade convo. Like, why are you talking about Elizabeth Warren, dude? Did she get an abortion? Who gives a fuck? Yeah, she sucks.
But I understand where you're going with this situation, and I also believe that. I believe that when a corporation has a certain threshold of money, they should be checked and limited by the government, because I believe it was Thomas Jefferson has a quote where he talks about if the power is directed towards the banks. I wish you can look it up later if you want. You probably won't, because I know you like to nitpick your things. Nothing against you.
No,
but,
this will be totally unedited.
But you can.
I really appreciate everything you've been saying.
There's a thing about Thomas Jefferson that talks about when the money is like goes, you can look up Thomas Jefferson bank quote, I believe, and when the banks, if they're given too much money, and by banks it's capital interest goes above the people, it's no longer a democracy, and it's true. This is.
No, I certainly agree.
We really pride ourselves on being a democracy, but
I high key don't believe that he said this. Did he actually say this? What? Private banks. If the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of the currency, first by inflation, then by deflation, the banks and corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered. I believe that banking institutions are more dangerous. Hangi? Niye? Evet. Tamam, evet. Nereye gidiyorsun? İyi, peki. Yahu hep açık, sen git istediğin gibi. I believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. The issuing power should be taken from banks and restored to the people to whom it properly belongs. That is, what is it? Other attributions, none known. Oh, wait. The quotation is at least partly spurious. See comments below. Quotation is often cited as being in the 1802 letter to Secretary of Treasury Albert Gallatin and or published in the debate over the recharter of the bank bill. The reason why I say that it's probably not real is because was there even an alternative to private banking institutions at the time? I feel like there wasn't, right? I mean, I don't know. I might be wrong, but I do feel like that was just the norm at the time. There was nothing. There was no alternative to that. All matter of money basically was controlled through the private institutions, and they would like give their own form of like tender too. It's not like there were fucking greenback dollary dues back then. You know what I mean? Like, I can see that he said it. Okay, it's a good concept anyway. But let's see what Stephen Crowder has.
I think we can find common ground there, in the sense that
I can find common ground with a lot of right-wing people, but our ideals are against each other because there are certain things.
Can you let me speak?
Yeah.
I think we're saying the same thing on too big to fail. I think that big banks want to privatize profits and socialize losses, right? And I think you're saying pick a lane, so where we won't find common ground is more so socialize the banks.
Well, what do you mean about socialized losses? Can you expand on that?
Well, they get bailed out by the taxpayer once they screw up their own banking practices, right? It's they're insured. In other words, when the bank has a problem, it's they're insured.
Yeah, dude, you're definitely an Austrian economist, brother. Totally. Like, I love when like these right-wing shitheads say stuff like that as though they are like legitimately like there is no such thing as in modern day contemporary America. There's not a singular fucking real Austrian economist right-winger. Okay, they are completely funded by these corporations, the corporate overlords. Why the fuck would they ever legitimately have some kind of opposition beyond just simply talking about how these corporations should be made to fail? It's bullshit. It's complete fucking bullshit. This idea that like it's the natural ebbs and flows of the economy, like all of these companies should fall apart. First of all, there's also so many horrifying consequences to that, to allow certain certain businesses to fail, right? What we should do instead is instead of allowing them to fail, bail them out with taxpayer money, but then also purchase them outright and nationalize them. If you can't fucking run your business appropriately in the private sector and it's too big to fail, that means it's too big to be private. Okay, if there is a natural barrier of entry into a said industry, okay. If there's a natural barrier of entry into said industry, if your industry relies on, government build infrastructure to a certain percentage that we could maybe calculate, then yeah, there should be way, way more regulations surrounding it, or at the very least, the government should completely control it if they bail it out. It's our money. We should control it.
Insured by the federal government.
Yeah.
And so that's the taxpayer, and that's people who really shouldn't, even people who are middle class, people who are lower middle class paying taxes shouldn't bail out.
Stephen Crowder's like, the FDIC insurance is actually bad and wrong. Okay, dude, well then, like, we can't do banking then. There needs to be guarantee. There needs to be some level of guarantee. Like, I'm not against the certain ways that we have decided the government should operate. There needs to be some level of regulation, unless you just want, multiple fucking slurp juices to multiple slurp juices to basically create multiple different apes as long as you use them, right? Like and help people understand that. I'm just saying, like, the whole problem with the fucking crypto landscape is a lack of regulation. There's no central force that controls anything in that circumstance, and it's all volatile. It's all built around confidence. And when you don't have some kind of regulation surrounding it, when you don't have like an established rule set to go by, you're gonna get into a shitload of problems. There's going to be uninsured securities that you're trading that end up destroying you. Okay. I've listened to you for a while, but it's frustrating when you talk about shit you have no idea about. The original ape is consumed in that scenario. You're spreading fake info? No. Are you serious? So the multiple slurp juices create a new ape, but you actually lose your original ape in that situation? Dude, this is why the crypto markets fell apart, dude. I swear to God. This is why all the stable coins are being destroyed. I'm sorry. I did not know that I was spreading misinformation about slurp juices this entire fucking time.
Even past that,
Do we agree on that?
I do agree on that.
There you go.
But even past that, what the hell do we get as taxpayers even without that? We're one of the richest nations in the world. We don't have our free healthcare. We don't have a public transport system that's adequate. Dallas, we have a public transport system, but come on, it's bullshit.
Arlington, there is none.
Is there no public transit in Arlington?
For most of the U.S., there's like compared to Europe, you don't need a car really. You can survive quite easily without one. For most of the U.S., if you don't have a car, you are struggling. You don't have a life. You don't have the ability to have a social life. It's difficult to get to work. The U.S. is quite big. We don't invest at all in. We don't invest in the social good really with any of our tax money. Our tax money is. It goes to.
I don't really know that I agree with that. I mean, you're talking about many, many trillions of dollars spent in the war on poverty, and we just talked about multi-trillion dollar
but you're in
infrastructure
Dallas
bills.
right now, and you see the homeless people in every corner.
No, I agree. I just don't think that the federal.
Many trillions have been spent on the war on poverty. Okay. Nobody said the way that the government is handling poverty is adequate. As a matter of fact, it's inadequate and wrong and horrible. That's kind of the whole point. You can agree that the government is failing the American citizens. Okay, you can agree on that. I think many people do. Republicans love using that energy, however, to channel into like further reactionary goals that abolish all matter of control and regulation at the behest of major corporations, starving the beast, if you will.
Spending on the war on poverty works, just like the war on drugs hasn't worked.
Well, yeah,
I don't think throwing more money at it helps. I think that the problem is
so then what are you going for?
Well, I think the problem there, right, is we would both agree that it's corruption. There's a lot of money that's being spent. It's not being spent in the right way. I don't necessarily think that all those things are fundamental human rights, but I certainly would argue that the money is being spent very poorly. I mean, there's a lot of money being spent. We have a spending problem, and it's not going anywhere useful. But I wanted to get back to kind of Roe v. Wade and the subject. Let me ask you this, because there are people...
Spend it on, like... Dude, I mean, it's just basic conservative shit. Like, basic conservative talking point is like, the government sucks, right? We agree. Okay, well then there should be less government. It's like, no, there should be the correct kind of government. You don't destroy a system by letting it fail further, okay? Specifically because it's currently not doing what it's supposed to. Especially when there are examples of governments doing significantly better with respect to social safety nets that they have created. Look to the Nordic social democracies. Obviously, there are still many failures there as well, but in comparison to the United States of America, they are doing a significantly better job. So much so that whenever you bring this up, American conservatives will turn around and say the most racist shit by being like, well, Norway is white. That's why they're doing it. White people know how to do social democracies, whereas, black and brown people don't. Like, that's just straight. They have nothing. They have no counter to that. So they turn around and they just like move to the spiritual realm, the idealistic realm, and basically argue from the position that like Nazis argued. But yeah, I love that he circled back to Roe v. Wade when he realized that he was about to be destroyed in another avenue of discussion. Real, let me just get owned in one avenue energy. Yeah.
For example, we had four.
I mean, it's basically like fucking stating that you're if you're living in a fucking apartment and your plumbing is broken, the conservative comes in and says, let's burn the apartment down. No, let's just fix the plumbing, dude. What the fuck? Oh, it's too much. We're spending too much money on this apartment trying to fix this plumbing. Let's just burn it down entirely. And then build a parking lot over it. That's just how we should do it, I think. That's the best way to go. It's insane.
Poor people there, African Americans, who had a problem.
How do you know
with
they're poor just because they're African American?
I said 4.
Oh, 4. I think you said 4.
Ooh, careful with your presumptions.
No, I
so
thought
I
I
said
misheard you. It wasn't a presumption. It sounded 4 and 4.
There were 4 African Americans there. The number 4.
I thought you said 4.
Okay.
What the fuck? Who uses this, bro? Who the fuck who says like there are African Americans there? Donald Trump and Steven Crowder. Maintenance can't unclog my toilet because my turd was late term Sag. Oh, ew.
I didn't.
What were you asking?
Well, thanks.
Is their point of view was, okay, they were pro-choice, and then she was a mother of 4. And when I asked her about the Texas heartbeat bill, she said, well, yeah, of course, after a heartbeat, because she had done an ultrasound, she said that's a separate heart. Whose heart are you stopping? My question to you is this, because I know you're coming in hot, and
I'm not coming in hot. I'm really speaking like I'm not coming in hot. I'm not being
but
aggressive.
can you understand the other perspective where someone says,
yeah, he's doing this is the third conservative tool in the tool belt, which is, oh, you're triggered. I triggered you. You triggered. Like, no, neither of them are triggered. I think you're just trying to say that and maybe invoke some kind of feeling out of them because you've been fucking, you're not doing a good job with this conversation. I mean, technically he is doing a good job of the conversation because he's able to deflect away from the main point of view, the main perspective, that where he is getting owned on the Roe v. Wade side, because I guess the ultimate position he had is, do people really know what Roe v. Wade is? It's not even about like just, it's basically about showcasing how stupid these libtards are that are like triggered about Roe v. Wade because like they don't even know what it actually is. So now he's like moving, he's just like flailing.
Someone does, certainly more than half the country believe at a limitation at some point, that at a certain point, it's no longer your own body. That's their...
Yeah, limitations are fucking stupid. Again, 93% of abortions happen in the first trimester. 6% of abortions happen in the second trimester, usually because people can't figure out that they are actually, pregnant, unfortunately, as a consequence of inadequate health care. Obviously, that if you want to eliminate second trimester abortions, that's one way that you could do that is by offering sex ed and also cheap, accessible, free pregnancy tests at these healthcare facilities. Okay, and the third trimester abortions are at 1%, less than 1%, and almost all of those third trimester abortions are abortions that happen to people that wanted to carry that pregnancy to term. Is incredibly traumatic. The idea of like trying to limit that when it's a conversation between you and your fucking doctor is really, really stupid. The notion that people are running around and like getting fucking pregnant specifically so they can feel like they're having like a murder inside of them, carrying a pregnancy to 6 months only to then turn around and get an abortion just for funsies is a psychotic one. But unfortunately, it's one that conservatives have basically created. Like it's a fake thing that conservatives are able to hammer on over and over again to make it seem as though that is the reality. To vilify the hundreds of thousands of women that have undergone this medical procedure, and to make it seem like they themselves are doing the exact same thing. It's stupid. Incredibly stupid.
Should have the right to enforce those regulations. I'll let the woman speak.
Will the fetus survive if it's outside of your body?
So viability is not a good argument either, and the reason why I'm saying that specifically is because these guys are demons, okay? I get the viability one. It's like a very normal thing to feel. You're like, well, if there's no viability outside of the fucking womb, then like, what the fuck? Then that's not a baby. That's like reliant on me to survive at this moment, right? The viability outside of the viability outside of the womb argument isn't great because like medical technology has made it so that like the viability outside of the womb has gotten the time frame in which like there's viability outside of the womb for a fetus has gotten shorter and shorter. You know what I mean?
You don't have any children, right?
No, I don't.
Because a baby won't survive outside of the body.
No, it's relying on your body.
Right. A baby won't survive outside of the body, but I mean a baby delivered naturally won't survive outside
well,
the body.
I mean,
But we're talking about fetus right now.
I'm talking about a
baby.
fetus.
So what changes from, let's say, 8 weeks and 6 days, or sorry, 8 months, 3 weeks, 6 days, to 9 months? Is it just inside, outside the womb that makes it a person?
Well, one's a fetus and one's a baby.
But why is one a fetus if it's
not-
if it's just
it's
one
not
day
really-
shy?
Yeah, he's getting into the weeds of like the idiotic conversation, specifically because he knows it's a losing battle to talk about the autonomy of the woman. Always turn it back to the autonomy of the woman. Whenever there is a conversation that revolves around abortion, Republicans are going to engage in the most like derailing semantics bullshit you can get into, as I said, to deflect away from the main conversation, which is the limiting of the already existing human being and their personal liberties. You are denying someone a medical practice, okay? You are denying someone from getting a medical procedure because you don't feel like they should be able to. It's completely selfish. It is insane. And it's also violent, too.
9 months.
It's not relying
Well, we're
on
not
your body to your umbilical cord. And when
What do you think about the violinist example where you establish it as a human life? It's still about the autonomy of the woman. It doesn't. I don't like that. I don't like the violinist example because a violinist is like a full blown a person with experiences. You know what I mean? That's why it's an outdated argument. Like it's an outdated logic game or whatever. What is it called? Not a logic game. God damn it. A thought experiment. Sorry, it's an outdated thought experiment that has been dunked on numerous times.
Oh, sorry, 8 months, 3 weeks, 6 days, to 9 months. Is it just inside, outside?
Violent? Yes, it is violent. Yes, forcing a woman to carry a pregnancy to term is violent, especially when there are medical complications that come along with this. Okay, you have helped me a lot with this video and your commentary and talking both my hardcore lib friends and a right-wing religious friend. Thank you for covering the way to speak to people. Yeah. It is violent. It is, of course, it's violent. If you are forcing someone, if you're denying a medical procedure to someone, because you just don't, because like a tiny fraction of the fucking country believes that this is like not a good thing to do, then yeah, that's violence. What is that? Would you not consider it to be violent if I decided like, the hasanabi religion, I've established a hasanabi religion. It's like Scientology. We've reached like, peak fucking masses. All right. There's so many people. There are so many people now that believe in the hasanabi religion. And part of that religion is that I think that insulin should not be offered to people that have diabetes. I think you should pray the gay away and you should pray the diabetes away. Now, I have been able to also command massive swaths of the population to be able to vote a certain way. So then the Republican Party decides, yeah, you know what? Fuck insulin is going to be a part of our bill. Would you not say that that's incredibly violent to be able to stop people from being able to get insulin? It should be naturally occurring in your body. God is literally punishing you if you are not able to generate insulin in your body. God is punishing you, and you should be able to deal with it. You're too fat. You should be able to lose weight and deal with it appropriately and adequately. Also, if you want to get a gastric bypass, if you're too fat, if you're obese, and you want to get a gastric bypass, I think you shouldn't do that either. I'm literally forbidding you from getting a gastric bypass to save your life in that circumstance as well. I'm closing off all the avenues that you can get to become healthy, okay? And then I turn around and say, just get skinny, forehead. Just get skinny. What's wrong? Just get skinny. Even if you're type 1 diabetes or where you like naturally since birth are not able to produce enough insulin and you die, okay? If you eat any kind of sugar, just avoid sugar. Just avoid sugar. Please, just avoid sugar. Sorry. It doesn't matter. You should have been born not diabetic. So that sounds insane when I put it like that, okay? And you can try to moralize it by saying like, well, it's about health. And maybe some instances it's like people, it's personal choices. And we shouldn't actually be doing this medical procedure on people because we're like getting them to, we're basically encouraging being fat in this circumstance, Just don't eat any sugar whatsoever. What the fuck's wrong with you? If I can get enough people to fucking believe in that and I can get the Republican Party, if I lobby the Republican Party and they push for it, they can basically get 5 fucking unelected Supreme Court justices that were appointed by 2 Republican presidents that didn't even win the fucking popular vote to turn around and say, no, we're not going to do that. Like, we're not allowing insulin we're not allowing people to get insulin. If you're diabetic, you just fucking die. Sorry. That's what this argument looks like. That's precisely what this argument is. Any kind of conversation around like the actual the humanity of the fetus itself is a silly conversation. It's a medical procedure that women should be able to get. You can't sit there and be like, sorry, I want to force the federal government to bring this issue back to the states where I know that the Republican Party already has like majority control in these states, regardless of whether or not they actually win these elections, because of the way that these districts are gerrymandered. And I want to go against the wishes of the individuals. In most states in the United States of America, if not all states in the United States of America, this issue does not reach more than 30% support. It's fucking crazy. It's completely insane. It is undemocratic as fuck. It is unpopular as fuck. And people, these Republicans, try to still, deflect away from the main position and the main point of the conversation.
More than half the country believe at a limitation at some point that at a certain point, it's no longer your own body. That's their argument, and that's why the Supreme Court has said it's bad law, and states should have the right to enforce those regulations. I'll let the woman speak.
Will the fetus survive if it's outside of your body?
So you don't have any children, right?
No, I don't.
Because a baby won't survive outside of the body.
No, it's relying on your body.
Right. A baby won't survive outside of the body, but I mean a baby delivered naturally won't survive outside.
Yeah, he just like refuses to make a distinction between a fetus and a baby, and he's like trying to spear dick his position into this argument here. It's very gross. It's very stupid. But the moment that you allow him to reframe the conversation around like babies, you're basically conceding a lot of ground there, because the conversation around abortion is not about like protecting the baby or killing the baby or anything like that. The conversation is exclusively around what the government is allowed to do to a woman that wants to make the choice on what she wants to do over her own body. Okay, it's about female bodily autonomy, and it's about the government stopping that from happening. Okay, this is why there's empirical evidence that denying the right to this medical care to women does not actually prevent abortions from happening. It just makes it so that these abortions are unsafe. Okay? Back alley abortions.
Well, I mean...
But we're talking about fetus right now.
I'm talking about a
baby.
fetus.
So what changes from, let's say, 8 weeks and 6 days, 8 months?
What do you say to the Republicans who say you're taking away the baby's choice to live? I say to them that no baby is making a choice to live. There is no such thing. I mean, not to get into the antinatalist position here, but you never consented to being born. You can only consent after birth, okay? I guess, technically.
When is there the line of, and this is why it's going to states?
I mean, I've talked to many people that are pro-choice about this. I believe the woman has the right to abort a child whenever they want.
So all the way up until 9 months, including birth?
Yeah.
And you don't believe that that baby is a person at 8 months, 7, even though they could be born and viable? Because you said viability earlier. They are viable. It's viable at 21 weeks.
Boom, there you go. It's like, oh, viability? Well, what if they're viable at the fucking 4th month? It's so stupid. It is so incredibly fucking stupid, dude. That's what these idiots don't understand. Women who go through these fringe cases and procedures are not filled with relief now that their potential child is now gone. Yeah, it's so fucking stupid. Man explaining why abortion is bad to a woman. If Democrats had their way with severe deformity abortions, then we shouldn't have the masterpiece Elephant Man by David Lynch. Okay.
If it's a person, if it's still in your body, you have the choice to do what you want
So
with
is a
your
location
body.
what determines a person, in your body or outside of your body?
Once it's delivered, you carried. Okay, first of all, nobody really wants to abort a child at 8 months.
Yeah, it does. It happens all the time.
For many
It happens all the time.
they.
I've had a couple
that's
friends with
still
abortions. There's never at 8 months. There's always at, like, when they find out.
a few months.
it
Yeah,
happens.
But
it's-
my
happens
problem
tens of
also,
thousands a year. It
my
happens.
problem also with this abortion bill is that it's
Tens
making
of
it
thousands
so
a
Why-
year.
why
by the
did they-
time
Dude, every single one, almost every single one of those abortions are done in the 3rd trimester, 1%, remember, and every single one of them are done to people that already wanted to carry the pregnancy to term. Like, it's incredibly rare that someone wanted to carry, someone decided, like, you know, on the 3rd trimester, I'm going to get it aborted now. Okay? Why is there no source for Steven Crowder's insane fucking claim here that it's happening all the time? Why? There's supposedly fucking facts for every single thing. Why
want
not
to
for this
abort
one?
The child
When
at 8
it-
months
when
old.
it's
Well, now we're shifting the goalposts, right? I'm just saying it does happen, and
Yeah.
there are states that
And I
restrict
wanna
it, but there are
know-
some states that don't. My question is, would you restrict it then if you're saying
No.
Okay, so someone should be able to abort at 8 months, 9 months.
If that's what they choose.
Okay, why?
Why? Because it's their body, so it's their choice.
So
It's a person who is able to have a child.
Oh, you missed him saying something about that? We can detect the heartbeat at 6 weeks now. We couldn't before. We can now because of the new text. So the heartbeat bill say 6 weeks. Ha, lol, goalpost, go burr. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Okay? I don't care if you can detect a fucking heartbeat. That doesn't mean anything, okay? Medical technology is going to get better and better and better. That doesn't mean that, like, a woman's autonomy should be eliminated or diminished as a consequence of medical technology getting better. It's ridiculous.
So if a woman is 8 months pregnant, using your premise, since we've gone to this, does that woman have 20 fingers? Does she have 20 toes? Does she have a penis if it's a boy?
What does
Does
that
she have two
matter?
brains? Does she
What
have
does
two-
that matter?
Well, because
There you go. There you fucking go, dude. Oh god, this is just so cancerous, dude. Such a fucking cancerous, idiotic, inconsequential argument that Republicans love having because they've successfully shifted away from the main point of concern. There is no main point of concern for the fetus and the viability and the fucking heartbeat, okay? Doesn't this whole argument presuppose that babies deserve to live? I don't even know if that's true. Again, it's just dumb. It's a stupid argument to have because then you have to have a philosophical conversation about what it constitutes to be a human being, okay? What is a human being? What is a life? What is sentience? These are super complicated subjects to broach when the main conversation that we're having here, and the main conversation we're having here is what the government can and can't do to women that want to get a medical procedure. Okay? It is so stupid. It is so incredibly fucking stupid.
because you're ending the life, the functioning life of another human being that has all of those things. So you're saying that's her body, so that woman has 20 toes.
What does that matter?
It's not her body if she doesn't have 20 fingers and toes.
Oh, you're saying 10 fingers plus her 10 fingers. That's
Yeah.
20 fingers.
So is it still the
It's
woman's
her
body?
child.
This is so, oh God, I'm going to lose my mind. It's just like, it's again, overwhelming your debate opponent by getting into like idiotic semantic conversations. Oh, la, la, la.
It's her body.
Well,
so
is it her
it's
child or is it her
choice.
body?
Both. It's
Well,
what is
it's
that?
one or the other. A child is not her body.
But who
Her body
decides,
has to
who
be separate
decides
from
when
her
it's
child.
a child? Probably the person that's carrying.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether you would call it a child or a fetus. I know this is what it comes down to. Is it a child or a fetus? In my opinion, when it's in your body, the medical idea of what you call it, a fetus, is a fetus. If you aborted me when I was a fetus, I'm not gonna complain because I don't know. Because I'm not sentient. I'm not a person. You're a
Well, there are plenty
you're a
of
matter
people
of
who aren't
cells.
sentient. People with brain damage, babies who
Yeah,
aren't
yeah.
See,
sentient.
he's doing it. He's doing the fucking, oh, that's my favorite, dude. He's doing, haha, I have just destroyed you because you have been caught in my intellectual trap in the marketplace of ideas. That's right. Ooh, what about a person that is born without a brain? What about someone who is under a coma? Ha ha! I've destroyed you. I've destroyed you. It's like, okay, well, the main point of the conversation is about the woman in the circumstance, okay? The pregnant person, okay? And a medical procedure that should be between them and a fucking doctor. Shut the fuck up. Stop with this debate purgatory. oh my God, you should literally go to jail for public indecency and public exposure by exposing people to your disgusting little shitty freak kink of wanting to debate them.
Distinction to make is
I understand, yeah.
why is it not, because you said child or her body, there's a big difference. Is it a child? I'm trying to understand where you're coming from.
Not
I
in this
understand where they
world
came
yet.
from.
I don't think you're actually trying to understand where I'm coming from.
Well, I asked you, could you understand where they're coming from? Because I was 4 people. Can you understand where they say, well, it's a separate heartbeat, so I understand some kind of restriction?
Yeah, but I also think maybe they just aren't fully knowledgeable on the entirety of the Texas bill that was passed for 6 weeks.
The 4 black people.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't
The 4 black people. Yeah, what? Like what? What does them having being black have anything to do with anything? Like, why did you just like feel the need to insert that? He is, once again, dude, God, conservatives are so awesome. They love talking about identity politics, right? And how fucking stupid it is, only to use it as a talking point and weaponize it immediately. Like, dude, you can be wrong. Like, black people can be wrong sometimes on issues. Like, just because someone is black and wrong in an issue, it does not change anything. You know, it doesn't say anything about black people. It's just black people are just normal people, okay? Unless you are self-reporting as a Republican and you think black people are in a separate category, okay? It's so funny. It's like, oh yeah, well, oh, did you just say a black person was wrong? So dumb.
I don't know them. I didn't talk to them
But there
about
are a lot of Americans who think there should be a limitation. You understand that your view...
Especially when it's like not even about like black issues. You know what I mean? We're talking like, you know, a person's personal experiences, especially on matters of race, is like obviously significant to the conversation, right? Nah, we are not normal. We are quirked the fuck up and cute as fuck. Okay, listen. It's just silly as fuck to be like, well, you just said black people. It might have been not knowledgeable about. New Daily Wire documentary about what is a woman? Oh, fuck me. I am not watching that shit, dude. Oh, no shot. No.
Is considered, you know, there's extreme left, extreme right is no abortions, even in the case of rape and incest. Yours is abortion up until 9 months. That's considered a pretty radical view, and so I'm curious to understand where you draw, and it seems to me like statistically it's a radical view. Most Americans don't agree with that. It doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it would be considered very far left. What makes it acceptable? And this is a question that I am trying to understand. What makes it acceptable when it's a baby that is totally viable, because that's what you brought up first, is completely viable outside of the womb. There's no debate at this point, right?
It's still connected to her body.
Dude, I don't give a fuck what happens to a fetus, okay? I don't give a fuck what happens to a fetus unless you carry pregnancy to term, and then at the top of the hour, the baby is going to see, at that point, an ad break, okay? Because
that the fetus is still relying on the nutrients of her body to survive.
Right.
So it's her choice to end that pregnancy.
Look, notice how they were fucking owning Steven Crowder. Notice how they were owning Steven Crowder, but Steven successfully was able to move the conversation back to a territory where like he can engage in like semantics and whatnot. And now that it's just derailed, now he's just locking you into saying like shit that is going to come across, especially in the framework that he is forcing you into having this conversation in, going to make you come across like you're, immoral, or your advocacy in this semantics battle now is going to make you seem like out of touch. Okay? How do you reverse this? You reverse this immediately by saying, listen, we are having a semantic argument, okay? This is irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. Third trimester abortions are incredibly rare. The only reason why you want to have this conversation about an otherwise super traumatic experience for the fucking parent that in almost all of the circumstances wanted to carry the pregnancy to term is because you're a disingenuous asshat. 93% of abortions are happening in the first trimester. Why the fuck are we having a conversation about the 1% of abortions that are happening usually in pregnancies where a mother actually wanted to carry the pregnancy to term? Okay? It is so disingenuous. This is like one of the worst moments of a couple's life or a mother's life or a pregnant person's life where they have to make this fucking decision because a pregnancy that they, in most circumstances, wanted to carry to term is now no longer viable, okay? Severe complications or even severe complications are about to occur, and you're literally looking at this incredibly traumatic incident, and you're making it seem like people are just getting pregnant on purpose, specifically so they can have an abortion in the 3rd trimester after carrying it for fucking 6 months plus. That's disgusting. You're an awful monster to have that conversation. Let's have a conversation about what actually happens in the fucking real world rather than your psychotic hypotheticals. This is a conversation about denying people that are pregnant access to medical care. That's it.
So it is exclusively that a baby is relying on the nutrients of the mother, because we both know the baby is relying entirely on the mother's capabilities.
Well, once
for a year, 2 years
the baby
after.
is born, and once it's not connected to that person, then
The baby's relying on the mother's nutrients at that point, right? Mother's milk.
No, not necessarily. No,
Because of modern technology, but for a longest time, they had to be breastfed. They're still reliant upon the mother's nutrients.
Can I bring something up?
So stupid. Again, so stupid. And for those of you who say like, oh, don't have that conversation because you get owned in that conversation. No, you're not supposed to have that conversation because it's a dumb conversation to have. The only reason why Stephen Crowder is bringing that up is because he wants to functionally win the argument. So you are doing a self-report in this circumstance, showcasing that you don't give a fuck about life because you don't give a fuck about the carrier's life, and simply just want to win the debate because you're an unfuckable nerd who is never going to be a part of this miracle regardless, okay? That's it. You're an unfuckable loser. Nobody likes you. You will never. The last time you saw pussy was when you came out of your mother's. And for this reason, and this reason alone, you dumb bitch, you are never going to ever be in a situation where you have to make these sorts of decisions. So it doesn't matter. Sorry, that's just the fucking truth.
Up real quick?
well, not the mother that you don't
necessarily
necessarily have to be the mother that birthed the child to keep the child alive.
Right, but it's reliant upon the nutrients of another woman. You said it's reliant upon the actual nutrients of another
what's
body.
difference between the now child breastfeeding versus the child who is relying on the nutrients inside the body is
That's
what
my
you're
question.
saying. Yeah. Well, it's the person that had the child inside their body is. Where am I going?
We've been drinking, but can I bring something up? You brought up the war on drugs earlier and how it was ineffective because we poured all this money into it and we really heavily criminalized like drugs and to like an extreme extent, and it never works. Actually made the problem worse. If you read any white papers, like any research paper on abortion and like limiting abortions, no matter what your ideal of like how conception or when it becomes a baby, abortions, like throughout anywhere that abortions have been criminalized, they still happen. But when you criminalize them, then you have the problems that we're facing right now. In the drug world, it's fentanyl, and I've lost 3 friends in 2 years from fentanyl. But in abortions, it's going to be illegal abortions because people are still going to be desperate and still going to have them, and people are still going to die and be like harmed.
Now I'm 21.
There won't be illegal.
Right now I'm
What do you mean there won't be
21. I
illegal?
can't
That's what
afford to
they're
have a
doing.
child,
Okay.
but if I were pregnant, I couldn't afford to have a child. I would get an abortion, a safe, legal abortion. It would allow me to have a child in the future because I didn't have to harm my own body to abort this child.
Right.
So if a safe, easy abortion, legal, would ensure that I was able to have a child in the future. So
Okay.
why I don't
understand the question. Are you asking me a question?
No, I'm just making a point.
Okay. Because I was just waiting for the answer in the question regarding the breastfeeding and umbilical cord. And I understand you were talking about fentanyl.
So
If we don't have abortions, we'll have more
if you're
fentanyl.
taking away safe legal abortions, then if someone has no choice and can't afford a child and
Well,
still
they have a lot of. Let's be honest about this. It's just I think they have a lot of choices.
you didn't let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
So if it was not legal to have an abortion and a person is still able to go out and have what we call a back alley abortion, could ruin their body for the rest of their life. They're not going to be able to have a child in the future because it fucked up their uterus. It's.
We need to engage philosophically with the anti-choice argument. I don't like the you hate women argument. It's not sufficient. Wait, what? I mean, first of all, you do, but also that's just seasoning. If you're hyper focusing on the ad homs in a fucking argument, if the entire argument is not constructed around you being fucking stupid or you hating women, then you are disingenuous and hyper focusing on what you think is approachable, what you think is an argument that you can defeat, and not the bulk of the fucking argument. This is why debate perverts in 90% of the situations are actually really bad debaters themselves, and routinely engage in fallacies and try to rationalize but fail to rationalize said fallacies in a debate. I hate it when people will always be like, oh, that's an ad hom. Dude, no one, and I mean no one here at the very least, is simply just saying, you hate women, so I don't want to have this conversation with you, okay? I always will offer additional reasons as to why this argument is fucking silly or stupid, okay? Not just that you hate women, but you just made that up. But they do hate women. And I add that as a seasoning. When I call someone a dumb bitch, I will usually mention why they're a dumb bitch. I won't just say, you're a dumb bitch, so I'm not going to have this conversation with you. Why isn't it as simple as the fetus is using the woman's body without her permission and she is well within her right to eject it from her body because the fetus's viability does not trump the woman's consent to use her body? Like, it's lib as fuck, but it's a personal liberty argument. I mean, you can use that, but when you do that immediately, when you switch it over to that situation, then you're trapping yourself into the humanity of the fetus. Oh, would you fucking kill someone that like is in desperate need of your help and shit like that? And you're opening the avenue or opening the door to a lot. You're opening the door to like additional debate pervert tactics.
So a safe legal abortion would ensure that that child or that person could have a child in the future.
Not necessarily.
Why?
The correlation equaling causation that a safe legal abortion, and there's of course the arguments we made that it's never safe for the baby involved, but there are other choices that wouldn't ensure anything, because what does ensure it is contraception, abstinence, motherhood, adoption.
Why
Abstinence
is it not?
doesn't work. Everybody knows that.
Okay, I gave you 3 other options.
Yeah, I mean, abstinence works for Steven, so he just can't see it outside of that world where, you know, he is an unfuckable little freak. That's why it's so easy for him to be like, abstinence. Like, why, dude? Why? Why should you do that? Not only like, why should you do that? Why should you remain abstinent? Okay, that like a condom might fail, and then what? You can get pregnant. That's the entire purpose. That's the whole point of like being able to get an abortion. Sex is not just simply for the act of procreation. You fucking freaks. She said that a safe legal abortion ensures that she will be able to carry a baby to term in the future when she is ready. His response was not necessarily. Yeah. They're advocating for people to become incels, just don't have sex, bro. I mean, that would make his army larger, so.
And
absolutely.
also, can I tell you, adoption.
I don't know about you, but there's never been a from people who haven't been having sex.
Yeah, but we're all human and everybody has sex. And you try to teach kids about abstinence like they taught us in Texas, and it doesn't work. And a lot of people get pregnant when they're young.
It's demonstrably a failure. Abstinence only, in states where there's abstinence only sex ed, which is not even real sex ed to begin with, the teenage pregnancy numbers are fucking way higher. So shut the fuck up, Steven.
Because they don't know anything about contraception.
They get pregnant if they're not practicing abstinence. Yes, I agree with you.
But who practices abstinence? Are you going to be a monk? Do you practice abstinence?
I've written about it extensively, yeah, before I was
do you
married.
Practice it?
God, dude, you are such a fucking loser, dude. I mean, this is at the heart of conservatism, okay? This is at the heart of conservatism, baby. It is what it is. This is perfect. It's like, I'm an unfuckable loser who hates his life, so I want to punish you, okay? I want to ensure that you also are living your life like an unfuckable loser, okay? I've written extensively on the matter. Great. Demoralize and humiliate them at that point, okay? Go in and be like, oh, that's sick. Well, you know, you can continue being an unfuckable loser. You shouldn't force others to also live in that reality, okay? Fucking weirdo. What happened to the small government libertarian brain that you supposedly had? Now you're straight up saying like everyone should be an unfuckable loser and practice enforced abstinence by the state.
Yeah, before I was married, yeah. A lot of people do.
To each their own. But
Well, you just made an
most
argument
people
that said
don't.
to each their own. Yeah. I said three
Really?
options. There's
I didn't say
abstinence,
so.
Well, you
there's
know,
abstinence,
most people don't.
contraception.
Most people
A
don't do
teenager
that.
Abstinence,
in high
contraception.
school, if you tell them to never have sex, well, of course they're going to have
And a lot of
sex.
people
Well, I think you
don't
say
have the
abstinence,
same.
contraception.
And you never teach the person or the child in high school how to have safe sex.
Right.
That's the whole point of
But I'm not
abstinence, right?
advocating that. I think I was
don't
pretty
really
clear
give
because
a shit.
I brought up the other choices
We're about to
outside
go
of
somewhere,
abortion,
but
right?
where else?
I don't
do
really
we-
give a shit. Yeah. I don't know what your point is.
Okay, because like the outside choices are still, you can still fail, okay? First of all, you can just engage in abstinence is a ridiculous argument, so we're not even going to talk about that, you fucking loser. You absolute fucking loser idiot. Okay, sorry, ridiculous. You shouldn't fuck at all then, because like what? Sex is only for fucking procreation? Suck my dick. Okay? That's one. Two, what about fucking condoms or contraceptives? Okay, well, they still fail. So what are you going to do in a situation where it fails? Huh? No abortions then? No, that's ridiculous. Like, you're a ridiculous person. They fail. What are you going to do?
You said
Can we wrap it
that
up
choice
within,
of
like-
safe, legal, and rare
No,
abortion.
we're just spiraling out of control
Well, you
here.
said the choice of safe, legal, and rare abortion would ensure, and I was saying there
Can
are
we
other
bring it
options
back
that
and
ensure
wrap it up real quick? 'Cause we
Yeah,
have to
Abstinence,
So
contraception.
what-
No, hold on a second. Let me finish. Abstinence, contraception, motherhood, adoption. Abortion's not required to ensure it. Do you
No,
understand? Because you use the word required to ensure.
You know
I'm
people
sure
that
you're
were
aware
in-
that there are states that are making contraceptives illegal.
No, I'm not.
You're not aware of that?
There's
There are
been
no-
multiple
There are
talks
no
include-
states right now that make contraception illegal.
Yeah, but
Well, you know
Mrs.
they're
You're aware that's-
trying to, right?
Okay. So
Oh, they're trying to, so it doesn't matter. Hey, dumbass, we got to this argument regardless, right? Yeah, states were trying to fucking make, they were trying to criminalize abortions, and look where we're at now. So obviously, when someone says like, oh, states are trying to do this or states are trying to do that, like, yeah, clearly they are, in a lot of instances, like actually getting to that situation, okay? They're successfully doing that. Suck my dick. Holy fuck. Makes me so mad, dude.
now we've changed the goalposts.
No, this
No,
is
that's
what we're
my
talking about.
that's literally what I just said.
Mississippi
There
right
are
now
states
is
that are
talking
trying
of-
to make
Mississippi right now is
contraceptives
talked about how they're making contraceptives legal is not off the board, which is a pretty intense thing to say.
The state legislature of Mississippi has not said that.
illegal. What about
Wait, wait.
Louisiana and
What
the
about
IUD?
Louisiana? About the IUD,
Can
are you
we,
talking
we
about
gotta
right
go,
now?
so can we bring it back and wrap it up on whatever?
Yeah, no,
note
I
you'd
thought
like
we
to
just
wrap
did
up?
bring it back. You brought it back to
Yeah.
the war on drugs, that you were studying human rights abroad and can't afford a house, and that's a human right on the internet, and I think we've gone to a lot of different directions, where I wanted to just have a conversation about Roe v. Wade,
Yeah.
and I appreciate you going these
You
different
smoke
directions.
nicotine? You can smoke if you want.
It's okay, I don't need
Okay.
anything. I appreciate it, though. Thanks
of
for
course.
offering. But I think I understand where you guys line up on Roe v. Wade,
Yeah.
and I think that there's a divide in this country, and,
There is a
states
divide.
are going to be able to
It's
establish
sad,
their own
but-
laws.
My point is I mean, you're not able to carry a child
Mm-hmm.
because I'm assuming that you are a man without a uterus.
Why?
And okay,
you're
well, fuck.
Steven Crowder and you're
Because
on
you're
the
fucking
Steven
Steven
Crowder
Crowder,
show.
and I know you have a penis.
How do you know I have a
You know.
penis?
Oh well, I don't. Never mind. It doesn't.
Oh God, this is great. You should be like, hey, actually, as a matter of fact, I don't know. So I'm not gonna make that assumption. Do you? Maybe you should stop making that assumption all the fucking time. You transphobic piece of shit. Oh God, I hate him. I hate him so much. But this is like what all these unfuckable loser debate perverts cream their pants to. They're like, ooh, got him. Got him.